There's been a lot of talk in the media in recent months about so-called apocalypse insurance, something that Silicon Valley and Wall Street billionaires have been silently accumulating over the years to protect themselves from whatever crazy events may happen in the world. And of course, with the coronavirus pandemic, that's increasingly come into focus. And while a lot of us look at billionaires buying this so-called apocalypse insurance and say, that's not something I could ever need, I actually think there's an application for any successful entrepreneur or investor to apply these same principles to your life. Today, we're going to talk about what I like about these apocalypse insurance policies that are being talked about and what I think could be improved. Hey guys, I'm Andrew Henderson, and today we're going to talk about something that the 10-figure entrepreneurs are doing, this idea of so-called apocalypse insurance that it's been talked about in the New Yorker, Vanity Fair, the New York Times in recent months. And I'm actually going to share why the 6, 7, and 8-figure entrepreneurs that we talk to here, who look to us for ideas on lowering their taxes overseas, getting second passports, diversifying into new markets, why these ideas are actually rather parallel, and what I think we can learn from the billionaires in this apocalypse insurance, and also what I think they could be doing better. Now, I read a couple different articles on this over the recent months, including this rather poorly worded one in Vanity Fair. They've updated the article since, but I took a screenshot, and I've had to do this this video a couple different times because I'm struggling with the article. Here's what they say, okay, just to set the stage. A dramatic and expensive fashion, and the rest of humanity. Okay. While most of us scroll through social media and stay glued to cable news, Peter Thiel, the billionaire, has a New Zealand hideaway, and Jeff Bezos, of Amazon of course, reportedly rules over 300,000 acres in West Texas. We've probably all heard about them, as in I suppose the billionaires, or their insurance policies, not sure. But did we ever really think we'd see them put to use? In 2017, LinkedIn co-founder Reid Hoffman told The New Yorker that he estimated over half of Silicon Valley billionaires had already purchased some kind of apocalypse insurance, like a safe room, bunker, or overseas escape. Now, obviously there are different kinds of things that you can escape. There are different kinds of things that you can insure against, okay? What we talk about here is the idea that if you live in a Western country, your taxes are probably going to go up. There's going to be a higher chance of the government coming in and taking your retirement account or bailing in the banks. They're going to perhaps take more of your freedoms or impose more regulations or make it more difficult to run a business. And by the way, some of those things that they can do will actually benefit people like Jeff Bezos, because just as Amazon, for example, rallied to have sales tax charged on their orders, that was good for Amazon, big business. People were going to still shopping on Amazon, but not so good for startups. So obviously, what's good for the 10-figure entrepreneurs isn't always the exact same strategy. But where I think the parallel is making sure that you are insured, okay? We talk about plan A versus plan B. Plan A here in the offshore world is, I'm going to go overseas, I'm going to save myself a lot of money because I'm going to pay lower taxes, choose my tax rate, hire, lower cost workforce, have lower cost of living, etc. That's an active plan A. Plan B is, how am I protecting myself? And so you've seen, especially in the US media in recent months and over the recent years, honestly, people buying apartments in these decommissioned nuclear silos where you can go, deep underneath the ground and withstand anything that could happen. Okay, prepping has been going on for years. What I think is important is the idea of financial prepping. And so while I'm not going to criticize what Jeff Bezos is saying, right? The guy has a gajillion dollars. If I'm insuring against the United States, my insurance plan is not going to have more things in the United States. Now, if you're not from the United States, then having a 300,000 acre ranch could be a good thing, right? And maybe that gives you access to the US, you can get an E2 visa, or you can do whatever, and you're diversifying yourself. For me, one of the biggest risks is having all of your eggs in the basket of one country. Obviously, Amazon is in different countries, so I'm not trying to pick on Jeff Bezos, but what I am trying to say is, if you are trying to protect against a lot of the things that I think are going to be coming up, some of these things are only going to impact certain countries. And I've said throughout the coronavirus, we've seen this happen where even for months after the peak, certain countries would not allow you to come, even if you were their citizen, if you had a citizenship from one of the other countries they deemed to be a problem, like the US or France or Italy. A lot of people were being turned away. And that wasn't a global pandemic issue. Those countries were open for business. It was an issue of, hey, we don't want these certain people coming, even if they're our own dual citizens, okay? And so I increasingly believe you're going to see certain countries having certain problems. You're going to have an apocalypse that may not be worldwide, okay? Now, in the case of the pandemic, started in one part of the world, expanded all over the world. There were still places where you could go and be safe. New Zealand has been a place that billionaires have used as their safe haven, as their insurance policy for years. I've made a video on how I believe there are other places that may be just as isolated, just as good for tax, just as good for protecting yourself in good kind of countries if you're a wealthy person. But think about it. Where are you going to go, for example, and have fresh water? Where are you going to be able to go and have access to fresh food? It may not be a place like the United States where a lot of stuff isn't organic, and there's a lot of issues with water in some parts of the country. What I think you want to make sure you're protected against is financially, are you going to have money? And are you going to have freedom? And are you going to be able to go somewhere and continue to earn your income? And so for me, having an insurance policy where not all of your money is in one country's banking system, where they can freeze the banks, they can shut off the ATMs, they can decide they're going to take part of your money, not putting all of your eggs in the basket of your country's retirement program. Oh, but I get a 3% match, and I'm going to get rich on the 3% match. Knowing that now the government has total control of your money, you can't take it out, or you're going to be penalized to take it out, and so emotionally you're not going to want to take it out, and so therefore they're going to have this big pile of money that they can make whatever rules they want with, right? Just having income that derives from one country, or having a business that is stuck on the ground in one country, this is not apocalypse proof. What I think you're going to see increasingly, and you've seen it with natural disasters throughout the course of history, you've seen it with revolutions in certain countries, you want to make sure that you've got a safe place to go to, and you've got money that's waiting for you there. And so, for me, thinking that your government's going to save you is not the answer. You can go and hide out in West Texas on your land. You can go hide out under the ground in your nuclear silo. But if there's an issue in your country and they're coming to get people, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but if that's what's going to happen, what are you going to do, right? I'd rather have different jurisdictions where I can arbitrage my risk, where I can be able to go where I'm treated best. And I know that even if the ATMs get shut off in the US, even if they want to bail in the banks in Cyprus, I have different homes, I have different bank accounts, I have different citizenships that I'm welcome in different places, and I also have access to good hospitals around the world, good medical care. I'm welcome in those environments. Potentially you want to have homes or a farm in a different country where you can grow your own food. That's one thing that I've done over the last couple of years, is buy some small pieces of land in countries that have great fresh water, that have good food, very organic kind of places, and those can be insurance policies. Now, again, if you are a multimillionaire, you're going to have a different strategy than someone that's a multi-billionaire. What I don't want you to do is think that, hey, New Zealand's the place that a lot of these guys go to, that's where I have to go. There are other places that are much more affordable, much easier to get into, much lower rejection rates, where you can get a lot more value for your money. And I would also argue, by the way, if there's a problem in the United States, New Zealand may or may not go along with that, but the Western world is its own kind of bubble. I would like to be protected to where I'm in different parts of the world. I really spend very little of my time in the Western world, and yet I believe I have a very high quality of life. I have assets that are well diversified. And so the point is, apocalypse insurance could take any number of different fashions, right? Apocalypse could be many different things. It could be the pandemic that we've seen. It could be some kind of riots or chaos. It could be a financial chaos, where the stock market goes down by 80% and you have mass unemployment and that kind of thing. And so again, I'm looking to small places. I'm looking to countries that are off the map. I'm looking at places where they respect the rule of law. I'm looking to places where they want investors to come. They want wealthy people. In the Western world right now, these billionaires, they're not going to be very popular if there's a great pandemic and people are suffering. If the stock market, drops by some huge amount, these are not going to be popular people, okay? And so I think that you want to keep all these different factors in mind when you're planning your own apocalypse insurance. If you are a successful person, I think it is reasonable to take a piece of your net worth or a piece of your income every year and put that into building this policy. It could mean having a box somewhere and just storing some gold that you can go to. It could be buying raw land or farmland in a country, could be buying homes in different countries, could be getting a second residence, second passport. Certainly take some of the money that's sitting in liquid cash right now, put it in a bank somewhere else so that no one country controls your liquid cash. Perhaps you want to buy some stocks or government bonds or whatever other asset overseas. Start taking a part of what you're doing and doing that. You know, so many people in the United States, for example, when I was growing up would say put 5 or 10 or even 25% of your net worth in precious metals. You can do that, but you can move them outside of the country. And so you're building your own kind of apocalypse insurance. Now, why I think it's not necessarily apocalypse insurance is that you can actually benefit before the apocalypse, okay? Because the media, when the government comes in and says, hey, you wealthy people, we're taking part of your retirement account to help fund this or that that's important to us, it's a big issue right now politically, that's not going to be deemed an apocalypse. When taxes go up, no one's going to call that an apocalypse. When gold is seized or whatever happens, anything that's happened throughout history. And I'm not a doom and gloom guy by any means, but I do believe that just being protected, being diversified, is generally seen as a good thing, but I'm saying do that internationally because there's a lot of things that are going to be short of being called an apocalypse that this kind of financial diversification protect you from. So if you're hedging against your own country, don't dig deeper, don't dive deeper into your own country. Make sure that you are protected on a global level so you have different systems to protect you. To me, that's the best insurance policy. How can Nomad Capitalist help you? 4 ways. Number 1, subscribe to our channel and click the notification bell to make sure you get our new video every day. Number 2, get a copy of Nomad Capitalist, the book. You'll learn a lot of my personal experiences over a dozen years of studying this stuff, as well as exactly some of the strategies that you can use to build your Nomad Capitalist plan. Number 3, if you're not sure where to start, but you want to come and learn from my team and I, you want to come and mingle with like-minded people, learn more about our live conference, Nomad Capitalist Live. It's coming up soon. And number 4, if you want some help right now because you've got a burning issue, you need something solved, you want to lower your taxes, get a second passport, or build the Nomad Capitalist lifestyle of your dreams, go to nomadcapitalist.com and click on Become a Client.